Parasite is the debut full-length album from Untervoid. This is a Krakow, Poland-based trio, and one that plays black metal essentially. You could call it blackened death metal, you could call it avant-garde black metal. I would call it kind of contemporary black metal in a style that is not so severely rooted in the old school style as we approach it. Now, the two members that started the band in the first place back in 2015 are very much rooted in the old school death metal ways if you look back far enough. Although the main fellow Destroyer is attached to Krieg's Machine and I believe their original form, but also Hate in their second phase beyond the early 90s. And the drummer was also a big part of Lost Soul. You definitely know that band if you know Polish death metal from the 90s on to the mid 2000s. So they're fairly reputable people who are pretty capable of what they're doing in terms of both performance and writing, and that they teamed up to make something that was a little bit more avant-garde, a little bit more, their type of black metal. And certainly the production values are pretty booming and approachable here as they almost approach a progressive layer in their lightly kind of dissonant, non-linear trains of thought throughout this album. So there's definitely a lot of black metal grooves, but most of this record goes down its own rabbit hole and finds performative ways to create what I would consider contemporary black metal. So to get a sense of that, we'll cut to a song here, and then I'll talk more about what this record is and why it appealed to me over the course of many listens. So while these folks are capable of just a big blasting wall of black and death metal, they've gone a more interesting route with it, I would say, on this record. If you're a fan of Nomad and the way that they approach black and death metal, think of this band as something that is more contemporary, more black metal oriented, has more interest in dissonant chord usage. The best songs, the ones that really stuck in my head and made me want to return to this album, weren't necessarily the most traditional. They were probably more accessible in some respect. There's kind of a black and roll like groove to some of these songs. There are sort of psychedelic, estranged movement. There's a little bit of an avant-garde or progressive touch, if you will, but they never really quite just hammer out anything that is so straightforward that it's boring or too typical. But we get a record that is still approachable, and it's not, it doesn't go so far that it isn't readable at any given point. So we get a lot of strong, approachable songs that still are extreme, that still do have something strange to say. And I found this almost eerily approachable. It was unexpected, and I think the score reflects that. I was a little bit surprised, but also I could see where they could go further with this sound. This was already a leap beyond their 2018 EP. It's a very strong record. It stuck in mind for the time that I spent with it, and I was always happy to return to it and appreciate how far they'd gone with some of these songs. A lot of interesting key points and stuff that I note here in the written review that you'll want to check out, and I think if you're a fan of modern Polish black metal and the different personalities involved with it, this is a good one to check out because there's a lot of personality in it. Even if there's some simpler grooves and just easier to approach songs, there's still that note of classicism and avant-garde in there that keep it all very well balanced in terms of just generating interest throughout the course of an album. So check that out if you will. I found it pretty entertaining, and I think most fans of this type of music will too. So that releases on September 20th, and go ahead and read my review for more details and what I thought of it.